The response we've all been waiting for has arrived in the good girl scandal. And Folk Football's here to bring it to you. And you know what? Rangers man here. Fair play to Brendan Rodgers. He's actually not even come out and apologised. And you know what? Good. Good on Brendan Rodgers. And good for Jane for not being offended by this, because it would have been pathetic, right? See all these people crying about this, man. It's keyboard warriors, right? And also, yeah, you know what? There's been a fair portion of the Rangers fan base that have jumped on Rodgers, right? But you know what? I'm not going to be a sheep and follow the herd. I'm my own man. I can make up my own frickin' mind. But yeah, before I give any more of my thoughts, let's see what Brendan Rodgers actually said. And he says, I've spoken to Jane and she wasn't offended. I find it saddening. I'm not that type of person. I could never be that. So, of course, he's addressed the criticism here from campaigners after, of course, calling Jane good girl. Yeah, we've made quite a few videos on this, and, you know, Brendan Rodgers should never have to apologise for this. It's the world gone mad. You know, you can't take a shit these days without people getting offended. That's the reality of it. And yeah, we made videos covering it because you know what? It's news. We put up a poll regarding what should Brendan Rodgers do. Was he wrong? Was he right? Was he just fine? It was just banter. And that's exactly what the case is. And the worst case in 2024 is it's like people are offended for other people. Like that is the reality. It's most of the time when you see these sort of instances, a lot of it's actually like you know, you could quote the quote unquote victim of the comment isn't even offended. It's, you know, it's the woke brigade. And yeah, as I've touched upon it before, obviously a lot of people who don't like Celtic, which will include a lot of Rangers fans, are jumping on the bandwagon of, you know what, Brendan Rodgers, oh, he should be sacked, he should have to go to, you know, a misconduct course or something along those lines. But I mean, come on, rivalry aside, and there has been a good portion that's commented on our videos saying about Brendan Rodgers that they're defending him even though they're Rangers men, and vice versa. You know, you'll have other supporters across the country that will be also defending Brendan Rodgers in this incident. I mean, he meant nothing by it. I think, as Chris Sutton said yesterday, he is a bit rattled. And then some people are like, oh, him being rattled's no excuse for him to be a big dirty dinosaur. So, I mean, come on, people, wake up and smell the coffee. It wasn't even that bad with Brendan. I mean, come on. Come on. The rivalry needs to get set aside. I don't even want to talk about this issue anymore, to be perfectly honest. Now, we made the video on what? Sunday night, approaching Sunday night. And you knew it was going to be a hot topic in the game. And, you know, it's a controversial matter. But see, at the end of the day, this shouldn't have been able to build steam. This should have been nipped in the bud. You know, see, as soon as this, like, kind of blew up, see, as soon as Jane has said she took no offence, and even if she took offence, man, Rodgers didn't mean anything by it. It should have been nipped in the bud. But no, the media's obviously had a bit of a frenzy with this, and Brendan Rodgers has pretty much had to spend his entire press conference today talking about it. Now, yeah, obviously he's been talking about Dundee and etc., but it's just mental that everyone is crying about this. And it is, as much as Rodgers, you know, as much as he's a Celtic man, I don't like Brendan Rodgers. You understand what he's saying, calling it saddening, because it's almost like a witch hunt for, you know, nothing. Like it's absolutely nothing, man, and it makes you think what state of the world's going to be in like 10 years, man. It's honestly crazy. And you know what? I actually almost in a way kind of feel sorry for Brendan Rodgers, because this could happen to anyone. This could happen to any manager. You know, the same Rangers fans that are, you know, jumping on Brendan Rodgers, Clement could have very easily said something similar, you know, and they'd all be defending him. And then the Celtic fans that are, you know, but it shouldn't matter about your club allegiance, man. This is just a simple matter of, you know, it's a complete overreaction, and people need to get off. Brendan Rodgers is back. Now, yeah, is there like troll accounts on Twitter like Lee Sunis that's like twisted the knife in Rodgers? But to me, that's obviously banter. You see, they're uploading videos of it saying like, oh, the more you see this Brendan Rodgers condescending and sexist good girl interview, the more sinister it becomes. Serious action needs to be taken by the authorities. But obviously that's trolling. But there is people out there that genuinely
think of it, it is kind of mental, to be perfectly honest. Also, the Brendan Rodgers said, he said, and the irony of it is, I shared with players not so long ago the story of Jessica Watson, the young woman of 16 years of age who travelled around the world solo on a boat. The documentary which I really was inspiring. True Spirit, it was called. I actually shared it with the players in terms of inspiration they can take of a woman of that age, what she's been through, and everything else. So I find it saddening as much because I'm not that type of person. I could never be that. It's not how I'm built. So he's given an example how he's not sexist, but he shouldn't have to, man. He's not. It's just a comment, man. Good girl. It was like an attempt to like shut down the interview, and then when she did, he was like, "Ah, oh, good." You know, I bet you as soon as Brendan Rodgers said it, he's went, oh, "I'm going to get pulled up about this," because that's just the world we live in, man. And I've seen like the feminists on Twitter being like, "Oh, there's a big difference between saying good boy and good girl." I'll tell you what the only difference is: the gender. That's the only difference, man. You know, honestly, absolute mess. Anyway, Brendan Rodgers has responded, guys. What do you think? Leave it in the comments down below. Until next time, hopefully, it's the last we talk about it.